Tonight, another fatality on our regional roads less than 24 hours after a local family was left devastated by an horrific crash near Port Pirie. And what's the next step for the upgrade of Broken Hill's Patton Park?
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Major crash investigators are trying to figure out how a 66-year-old male cyclist was killed in a collision near Corn this morning. Emergency crews were called to the scene near the intersection of the Horrocks Highway and Cemetery Road after a collision between a four-wheel drive and the bike around 8:30 a.m. Part of the highway was closed for most of the day as officers combed the scene. It takes the death toll to 30 on our state's roads, 3 more at the same time than last year. A young boy remains in a critical condition at the Women's and Children's Hospital following a fatal crash at Bangor yesterday. His older sister, who was sitting in the front seat, tragically died at the scene after the family car rolled on Germain Gorge Road. Rachel Nell has more.
7-year-old Levi Marlowe from Orroroo was flown to Adelaide, where he remains in hospital in a critical condition, fighting for his life. His oldest sister, Sophie Lee, aged just 15, was tragically killed at the scene. The Toyota Prado was travelling towards Port Germain around 11 a.m. yesterday when the 35-year-old driver and mother somehow lost control of the car with 6 children inside. Emergency crews rushed to the scene but couldn't save the teenage girl. Their 4 siblings, aged between 4 and 11, managed to escape without serious injuries and were taken to the Port Pirie Hospital for treatment. The principal of Orroroo Area School, Matt Dignan, says the school community is shocked and deeply saddened by the loss, saying 15-year-old Sophie was a talented and enthusiastic musician and a positive, cheerful presence in our school. Our thoughts are with her family and, in particular, those who were injured yesterday. The family of 11 is well known in the Orroroo community. A GoFundMe page has already raised nearly $8,000 to help with the funeral and medical expenses. The mother is now helping police piece together exactly what went wrong and led to a heartbreaking Mother's Day for this local family.
4 Whyalla men will face court after cannabis was located in their homes last week. Police searched a home in Whyalla Norrie on Wednesday, allegedly uncovering 5 plants, dry cannabis and equipment. A 48-year-old man was reported. On Thursday, a 53-year-old male was reported after a search of a home in Whyalla Playford, seizing 6 plants and drug equipment. They'll also allege a bedroom in the home had been converted into a hydroponic grow area. Later that night, officers searched another home nearby. It's alleged they found a hydroponic room inside the house, along with an amount of dry cannabis, along with 4 plants and drug equipment. A 39-year-old man was reported. Broken Hill police are investigating break-ins at 2 of the city's schools over the weekend. The first occurring at around 1 o'clock Friday morning when thieves stole a number of laptops and other items from Broken Hill High. The other unfolding sometime between Friday night and Saturday afternoon when Morgan Street Public School was broken into. The thieves also stealing the school's laptops. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. 2 Broken Hill councillors have called for an extraordinary meeting to discuss mine rates being passed on to ratepayers. Councillor Tom Kennedy believes locals shouldn't have to foot the bill for mines that aren't closing anytime soon.
It's an industry that formed Broken Hill into the place it is today. But mining can be a volatile market, and council says precautions are necessary to protect the city's future. However, one councillor believes passing on mining rates to residents is an unnecessary hit to their back pockets.
There's many residential ratepayers that cannot afford to continue to subsidise the mines.
Council says the transfer of 1% of rates per year from mining to residential is a safeguard for the city, should the mining industry crumble. It says if it places a heavy reliance on mining and there was a downturn, there would be large rate rises slapped onto residents, or council would run out of cash.
The reality is they're not going to close. We've just been told by Aurelia that they'll be open for another 25 years. So the reason for transferring that is no longer relevant and shouldn't be taken into account.
Prior to a rate strategy being adopted, mining accounted for more than 27% of council's revenue in 2013. Council is aiming to have that down to 10% by 2023. However, Mr Kennedy believes with the increased life expectancy of the city's mines, locals who are already struggling to pay their rents shouldn't have to pay more.
What I'm hoping is that a lot of people from the community come along and let the councillors know they're sick of the council not representing what the ratepayers as a whole want.
The extraordinary meeting will be held this week. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Farmers are being warned to be extra cautious and aware of live power lines as seeding gets underway in the region. There have already been 10 incidents this year involving equipment and power lines, causing serious damage to the network.
Farmers have been out in force preparing for another bumper crop season, following last week's welcome downpour. But SA Power Networks has a serious message to those getting ready.
Trying to get farmers to be thinking about their safety on farms as they're now going out and doing their seeding after some good rains.
Averaging 20 on-farm incidents each year, 2018 has already recorded 10, with the majority of the cases collisions between power poles and tractors.
About a quarter of those actually involve seeding, so it is the time when we see the most incidents of farm machinery hitting our Stoby poles or connecting with wires.
Producers are being asked to take the extra time to assess the location of power poles and live wires before seeding.
Moving tall or wide equipment, it's absolutely essential that before you start moving the equipment, you think about the route you're going to take on your farm.
Those who do run into some trouble are being told it's important to remain in the vehicle and call for help immediately. And if needing to get out, to never touch the ground and the machinery at the same time.
An avoidable death on the farm, it'll be tragic for the family, it'll be tragic for the local community, and that's really something we want to prevent in South Australia.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
After the break, the planned upgrade of Broken Hill's Patton Park hits a bump in the road. Details next. An upgrade to one of Broken Hill's many parks has suffered a setback after an unsuccessful tender process. Residents in the city's south are disappointed, but are hopeful the rejuvenation of Patton Park will still go ahead.
A major upset in the pipeline for a major upgrade. The Patton Street Park facelift has been a long time coming, with development plans only receiving financial support late last year. Many thought it would be smooth sailing from then on, but a lacklustre tender process has stopped the project in its tracks.
We initially went out to tender in an effort to try and get the park done all in one hit. Unfortunately, we received a very small amount of interest there and we weren't able to go forward on that front.
Council had just one response during the tender process, with the group only wanting to construct the park's new playground equipment. The news of the upgrade setback disappointing to residents.
We'd like to see some dirt being turned and some shovels being lifted pretty soon, but that's just one of those things that we're going to have to deal with as it comes.
Council has assured the upgrade will go ahead, but in another direction.
Our next step is to look at the project and probably try and break it down into smaller, more manageable chunks. It's hard to really put a time frame on it before that tender process has been completed. It's something we'll be wanting to get done as quickly as possible for the people of South Broken Hill.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Recreational southern bluefin tuna fishers may soon have limits imposed on their catches. Commercial fishers have had quotas imposed for some time, but over the next 2 years, the recreational catch of the fish will be accounted for in the national quota.
We've never taken into account the recreational catch, and what we're doing at the moment is seeking to harmonise the limits for catch for the recreational sector.
It could mean the bag limit of bluefin tuna in South Australia could drop from 2 to 1 by 2020. Businesses across regional SA are being invited to undertake a survey to help gauge the state of the market. The Regional Voice project is taking the temperature of business conditions outside of Adelaide to assist it with policy making going forward.
It's not been easy doing business in regional SA over the past 3 years. High utility prices, the online market boom and the threat of closure of major industries have hit local companies hard. Business SA is undertaking a health check this year through an online survey.
The regional voice means that the regional chambers have that inroad and that voice into Business SA, which then flows through into the government arena, which is a valuable tool.
The survey is the first since 2016, a time when Whyalla Steelworks went into administration and Port Augusta was grappling with the closure of the power station. Locals are being encouraged to have their say and give regional chambers information on business conditions.
A lack of business or a lack of diversification, or some of the issues we face in progressing our businesses, as well as those issues that are really supporting the regions that are going well.
The survey asks a number of questions about your business, along with current conditions and the issues facing the sector. Mr. Hayes says by taking a little time to fill this out, it'll help regional chambers go a long way in their advocacy.
It's a very valuable 15-20 minutes out of their busy schedule to be able to complete that survey and input into what is a tremendous amount of information that we can gather.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Coming up, an Australian tennis legend pays the region a visit. We catch up with her next. The Port Augusta Tennis Club has played host to a special coaching clinic by Australian tennis legend Evonne Goolagong. The program gave Indigenous school children from across the region the chance to brush up on their racket skills, but also to gain some valuable life lessons.
Picking up the rackets and having a swing. Over 70 Indigenous children were today given the opportunity to show their skills to one of Australia's greatest athletes.
The come and try day, well, it's not just come and try.
Give them a racket, show them a few things, they pick it up instantly, and yeah, they can definitely hit a ball.
Visiting Port Augusta through her foundation, the aim of the tennis champion is to use tennis.
This is a vehicle to create better health and education. So basically it's about keeping the kids in schools.
The foundation selects a handful of promising players from the clinic for a free coaching lesson, then state and national camps. The aim of this is to change their attitudes towards education.
We have nearly 100% success rate of the kids staying in school, of the kids we do choose.
Coming from rural New South Wales to winning 14 Grand Slams, Goolagong is hoping these sessions with youngsters inspires a drive for their own dreams.
They're the sort of messages we give the kids, is that, you know, stay in school, maybe they will find their dream.
It means a lot, not only to us but to them and their communities.
And the goal of the day isn't about teaching the perfect forehand. The message is clear.
Dream, believe, learn, achieve. So, and that's pretty well what the whole program's about.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
A local cricket club has received a $4,000 cash injection through a sponsorship deal with the Commonwealth Bank. North Whyalla Cricket Club will use the funds over the next 2 years to improve their training facilities.
Securing sponsorship in Whyalla has been difficult over the past few years, hurting the bottom line at many local clubs. North Whyalla's cricket club is not immune from those pressures.
When you're rolling over $10,000 as a club, a small club, you know, you've only got sort of 30 or 40 people in your club, you have to look to the sponsors and grants to be.
The Magpies, however, are on better footing thanks to the Commonwealth Bank. They've secured a 2-year sponsorship deal worth $4,000 through the CommBank Cricket Club program. Mr. Quist says the club has been bowled over by the support. He says with the club fielding 3 senior teams last season, the funds will ensure they can continue to do that.
We were quite happy to absorb that, to have more people playing cricket, but for the Commonwealth Bank to come along, that just makes things easy for us.
And it'll also help improve the club's infrastructure. North Whyalla also plan to use a portion of the money to upgrade the ageing training nets.
The fact of the matter is, if you've got the training equipment, if you've got the facilities, if you look good, hopefully people will come.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Turning to local football now, and there was plenty of action over the weekend. Casey Treloar joins us now with more. And Casey, it was a tough battle for Port Lincoln's reigning premiers.
Yes, that's right, Fraser. Waybacks met a tough Lincoln South here at Centenary Oval. While Waybacks were down by 2 points at the main break, they came away to win by 11 points. Waybacks got off to a strong start, leading by 18 points in the first break. However, some costly turnovers saw Lincoln South hit back with 3 strong goals, leaving Waybacks goalless in the second term. But Waybacks' defensive pressure and command of the football proved too much in the last half, along with Matt Goodwin booting an impressive 4 goals. It was a tight race between the two teams, leaving Waybacks undefeated this year and Lincoln South yet to clinch a win. In the other games, it was another close one for round 3, where Marble Range claimed a nail-biting victory over Tasman. Meanwhile, Mallee Park came out strong following last week's shock loss to overcome Boston by 7 goals. Still on the EP, and Ayr United easily beat Cougars, Ramblers came home with a 3-point win over Lock, and United beat Tumby Bay comfortably. Heading over to the Spencer Golf League, where it was wins to South Augusta, Solomon Town and West Augusta. In Whyalla, Rapina beat Central by a whopping 79 points. West beat Waroona and North beat South to remain undefeated with 5 straight wins. In Broken Hill, South took a commanding win over West, while Central went down in a 21-point loss to North. And lastly, the northern areas shows 3 solid wins. Southern Flinders 2 strong for Jamestown Peterborough, while Orroroo claimed their 3rd straight win, and Crystal Brook remain undefeated after a thumping 15-goal win. So Fraser, another big weekend of footy action from all the local leagues. I'll be back tomorrow night with all the results from the other sports.
Thank you, Casey. Now, as we know, Ag Fair Broken Hill has been and gone for another year, with hundreds learning more about the fantastic world of agriculture. And something we discovered is we might have some new team members on the cards for Southern Cross News. Take it away, Summer.
That's right, Fraser. Ag Fair has come and gone for another year, with hundreds of visitors getting out and enjoying the very best of field days in Broken Hill. Thanks to everyone who came along. Amy's next with all your local weather.
Thanks, Miller. Stay with us. Next, I'll have all the details on how the region could see some showers later in the week. Welcome back. Maximums stayed low around most centres today, 20 the top in Port Augusta. Meanwhile, temperatures sat in the high teens in Whyalla and Broken Hill, 18 the high there. Checking the satellite now, and skies are mostly clear across the state under a broad high pressure system. If you're out on the waters tomorrow, the southerly will shift southeasterly before picking up to 25 knots with seas reaching 1 metre. The sun will rise at 7:03, while sunset is at 5:28. Looking at tomorrow's forecast, and cooler temperatures expected once again. A mostly sunny 20 expected in Port Augusta, Whyalla, Port Lincoln and Woodna will be slightly cooler with a chance of showers. Cloudy skies and possible showers in Port Lincoln as the week continues, 20 on Friday. Similar conditions in Cleve and Woodna with temperatures sitting in the high teens all week, while any rain will only bring a few millimetres. Conditions will clear on Wednesday in Whyalla with a top of 17. After a run of mostly sunny days in Port Augusta, a cloudy Friday is expected. Meanwhile, in Kadina, maximums will reach 19 by Friday. Port Perry can expect a sunny day and a top of 19 on Tuesday after fog clears, with fine conditions sticking around into the end of the week. Cooler in Clare with tops of 14 midweek, while a mostly sunny 17 on Friday in Broken Hill to round out the working week. So Fraser, those cooler temperatures will hang around the Spencer Gulf as our week gets underway.
Winter looks to be on the way. Thanks, Amy. And that's all the news for now. Thanks for your company. Enjoy your evening. Good night.